Welcome to today's edition of the Anaglyph Jukebox. You never know what you'll find on the old jukebox. Let's press B31. Okay, we've got the Mighty Thor 3D. The Mighty Thor 3D, released in 2019, is a reprint of Mighty Thor number 1 from 2015, Thunder in Her Veins, by writer Jason Aaron, artist Russell Dauterman, colorist Matthew Wilson, and letterer VC's Joe Sabino. 3D conversion was done by J.P. Jupiter, Hannah Wall, and Brian Hammerlin. Thor, created by Stan Lee, Jack Kirby, and Larry Lieber. Back in a much simpler time in the Marvel comic book universe, Jane Foster was a nurse, the love interest for the Mighty Thor in his dual identity as hammer-wielding Asgardian and crippled Dr. Donald Blake. Early in his career, there was always a 3-panel sequence where slim, sickly-looking Dr. Blake would strike his wooden cane on the ground and be transformed, SHAZAM-like, into the muscular, long-haired god who could throw his own hammer so hard it allowed him to fly. Think about the physics of that for a minute. An interesting thing happens when a comic book runs continuously in publication for decades, enlisting dozens of artists, writers, and editors to churn out thousands of finished pages. Stock characters like the superhero's girlfriend, who's always being kidnapped or menaced by his many colorful enemies, can grow under this many hands approach to become surprisingly complex. Nurse Foster, for example, went back to med school and became Dr. Jane Foster, working at Manhattan's fictitious Memorial Hospital before going into private practice with Dr. Don Blake in Broxton, Oklahoma, where Asgard has, relocated? If you have to ask why, you obviously don't understand today's complex real estate market. There were many factors. The high cost of maintaining the aging Rainbow Bridge, for one. Also, maintenance fees for Asgardian castles were up 600% since last Gormenudor, or Slaughter Month, due to the troll worker strike and subsequent supply chain disruptions. See if you can follow this, because I certainly can't. Nick Fury, head of the super spy agency S.H.I.E.L.D., who is now called the Unseen for some reason, learned some terrible secrets from the murdered Watcher known as Uatu. This, of course, made him fight his former allies, the Avengers, while in lunar orbit. Marvel superheroes spend a lot of time fighting each other before they eventually team up against their common foe. During the slugfest in space, Fury whispered one of the secrets to Thor, son of Odin. Just hearing these words made him unworthy of being Thor, and he and his enchanted hammer, Mjolnir, crash-landed on the moon. When it turned out that no one, not even the Allfather Odin, could lift Mjolnir, they said, "See ya, wouldn't want to be ya," and left it on the moon. So Dr. Jane Foster from Earth travels to the moon, as one does when summoned by a magical hammer. Picks it up like it was a 2-bit ring from a crackerback jock's. "You have my solemn vow, all Mother Phrygia of Asgardia, made here in the sight of the moon and all the stars, that I will die before I dishonor the legacy of Thor." Thus, the new Thor is Jane Foster. What a burn on feeble, crippled Dr. Don Blake, who has been dropped from continuity for years at a time. It would be like Clark Kent not showing up at the end of a Superman story. "Great Caesar's ghost! Where have you been, Kent?" But in the Marvel Universe, conflict reveals character. So in her identity as Dr. Foster, Jane is battling cancer. When she transforms into Thor, this mystically purges her system of the chemotherapy she's taking. But even though being the goddess of thunder is literally killing her, she continues to pick up the hammer to save the world.